Okay, so speaking of the Taxpayers Alliance, there we've obviously published that they've published rather the town hall rich list recently, and in our last podcast, Mike and I we discussed some of the lowlights from Croydon, in particular the fact that there are now 23 people earning more than £100,000 a year working for Croydon Council, and with some earning more than the Prime Minister. Full details are on an article on our website. But hey, it's the Taxpayers Alliance that produce this rich list. So Harry, can you tell us a little bit about the background to this the rich list, and perhaps let our listeners know some of the more egregious examples nationwide?
Yeah, certainly. So this is the 13th edition of the Town Hall Rich List, and it's a compilation of all council employees in the country who receive remuneration in excess of £100,000. So this is all collated from Council Statement of Accounts. It's a very large undertaking, but we've been doing it for many years now, as I say, so we've gotten quite good at it. The key highlights from this year was there were 2,667 council employees who received pay in excess of £100,000. So just to clarify, pay in this case is made up of salary, pensions, compensation for loss of office, bonuses, expenses, things like that. Now, that 667 employees is 226 more than there were last year, and it's the highest number since 2013-14. Of those 2,667, 667 were paid more than £100,000. And I think our top earner this year was a lady in North Lanarkshire who got something like £615,000 as part of a loss of office compensation and a pension contribution. Which is quite frankly staggering. Specifically with Croydon, I think you've had an increase, haven't you? You had 19 people last year being paid more than 100,000, and now you're at 23, I believe.
Absolutely, so up again, up by four, at a time when the council has constantly complained about how hard it is for it to find any money.
Yeah, so you got Jo Negrini, is that her name? Chief Executive's on. She got £217,000 for 2018-19.
Yep, absolutely. We've then got the Executive Director of Health, Wellbeing and Adults, Guy Van Diechu, on 215,000, and a surprisingly large number of undisclosed people, including one on over £200,000. Now, quite how you can, I understand how some of the people at the bottom might be undisclosed, earning just over 100 grand, but quite how you can be on over 200 grand and nobody know who you are seems quite shocking to me.
I mean, there's an interesting. So one of the questions I'm asked a lot is, are they worth this? Are they worth this large amount of money? And my answer is potentially. I mean, if they are delivering the best council services possible, they have eradicated all wasteful spending down to the last penny. All the potholes are being filled. The health and social care is, the best there can be. I don't have an issue with it, but you speak to, when we find this all the time when we're in Croydon, don't we? You speak to people, they are not happy with the council services they're being provided. They're seeing their council tax go up every year, and they're getting, lower quality and fewer services.
No, absolutely, and this is, in Croydon, the council, and to what extent it's the executives and what extent it's the councillors. Or circumstance, it's hard to say, but we haven't had a new shopping centre delivered here that was meant to happen, and now it's basically stopped. We've had loads of problems with bin collection. We've had loads of problems with roads. We spend a huge amount of money on culture, and no one's quite sure where it goes. There's lots of problems, and it's you're paying people premium salaries to not deliver. What's really struck me about this as well, we've done some comparisons around London and around us. The London Borough of Barnet is the most comparable borough in London with Croydon. It's often used. They make do with just 7 staff and over 100 grand. So it clearly is possible. And look at our neighbouring boroughs. Sutton has just 11, Merton 9. To the south, there's slightly different boroughs, but Tandridge has just 1, Reigate and Banstead 4. That's a huge difference from the 23 Croydon seems to think it needs.
I mean, so yeah, that's a very good point. Now, Wandsworth is another interesting example actually, because they, similar to Croydon, I think they've got about 18 people, maybe 19, who are on more than 100 grand. But they are actually an incredibly efficient council. They constantly rank near the top of the rankings that are available. And what they also do as well, I believe they share a lot of their staff with other councils, and as a means of keeping costs down. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have more people earning over £100,000, it's a bad thing. But as you say, when you compare Croydon and Barnet, there is a major discrepancy there, and taxpayers should rightly be asking questions about why they are not getting what they are paying for.
I can assure you we are asking those questions, and as you say, Harry, when in better times we've been out on the out at street stalls, and the people of Croydon are not very happy with the services that they're getting from Croydon Council. So it's it's disappointing to see that we're perhaps not getting such value for money. Obviously, you work for the Taxpayers Alliance, and you're involved in this, looking at these things. Mike referenced the number of people who are undisclosed, but nonetheless earning significant sums of money. Is there any reason for that, and is there any way that we could find out what they're doing?
Good question. I mean, no, it's not easy to find out what they're doing, and I have serious concerns about why some of these positions are undisclosed. I believe that not even a freedom of information request would necessarily reveal this information, and it's in the old days when we first started doing Town Hall Rich List, it all had to be done via freedom of information request. This stuff was not published in council accounts, and it was in their statement of accounts, and it was thanks to our work that this is now sort of commonplace that they have to do this. That said, there is no sort of set way they have to do it, and in fact some councils are deliberately try to obfuscate the data, so I think almost to make it harder for us. But I think there should be some directive from government to say no, you should disclose what's going on here. You must make it law. Because we as taxpayers, I think we have a fundamental right to know.
It does feel, even if some positions you don't disclose, and I sympathise slightly with the idea you might not name every name, but the department, the sort of role it is, something other than just a blanket no data doesn't feel should be the right approach to it. Let's hope that works for the future.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe something for the Taxpayers Alliance to look into.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, we're always trying to unearth as much as we can about what's going on at our local councils. We send out thousands of freedom of information requests every year, and now I'm not doing so much of my grassroots campaigning. I've been firing a load off as well. So hopefully more on that to come in future.
Good. Let's certainly hope so.